You've probably got a list, a novel you started writing 2 years ago, a YouTube channel idea from last summer, a gym membership you stopped using in February. You've moved on, but for some reason your brain hasn't. It nags at you, quietly, randomly, and always at the wrong time. It's not guilt, it's not laziness, but there's something wired deep in your psychology that hates the unfinished. In 1927, a Soviet psychologist named Zeigarnik discovered something strange. Waiters in a cafe could remember open orders with perfect clarity, but once a table paid, the details vanished. She turned that observation into an experiment and found that people remembered incomplete tasks nearly twice as well as ones they had finished. It's called the Zeigarnik Effect, and it's probably messing with your life in ways you've never noticed. When you don't finish something, your brain treats it like an open loop. That loop demands closure, not out of drama, out of efficiency. Your working memory holds it up like a sticky note pinned to your consciousness. The longer it stays there, the more it distracts from everything else. You're watching a movie, but you're thinking about the text you forgot to reply to. You're doing your homework, but your brain keeps circling back to that thing you started and never finished. We like to think attention is something we control, but the Zeigarnik Effect shows us that attention often controls us. It's not about memory, it's emotional. An unfinished task feels like something unresolved. Your brain doesn't like ambiguity, so it keeps bringing it back up, trying to solve it, even when you're done caring. But here's where it gets deeper. The feeling of not finishing something is often stronger than the reward of finishing it. That's why half-finished books on your shelf feel heavier than the ones you've completed. That's why people still think about old jobs, old relationships, old arguments, not because they were important, but because they weren't resolved. In a weird way, your brain is still trying to finish them. The Zeigarnik Effect was discovered in the 1920s, but it's more relevant now than ever, because today you're surrounded by half-finished loops. You open TikTok, watch half a video, and scroll. You start a YouTube video, pause at minute 4, switch tabs. You begin writing down an idea, notification, gone. And your brain doesn't forget those fragments. It stores them like tabs open in the background of a browser. Except the browser is you. That tension, the friction you feel when you can't focus. It's not about willpower. It's the side effect of 100 micro tasks, all demanding closure. But here's the twist. Sometimes we like leaving things unfinished, not on purpose, but because starting feels good, and finishing feels final. When something's done, it's over. It's judged, and it's real. But when it's still in progress, it exists in potential. It can still be perfect. That's the trap. Your brain rewards the act of starting with a little dopamine hit, but it leaves you chasing that initial spark again and again while the loop stays open. You think you're just distracted, but distraction is often just a graveyard of unfinished loops, each one quietly pulling at your attention. The problem with too many open loops is that you start to confuse momentum with meaning. You feel busy and you feel stimulated, but you're not actually moving forward. You're starting projects, switching tabs, brainstorming ideas, and to your brain, that feels like progress. But at some point, you realize you've built nothing solid. Just fragments. It's not laziness, it's friction. The more loops you leave open, the harder it gets to commit to any of them, because now everything feels halfway done. Every to-do list looks the same. Every idea feels old the second you come back to it. And the weight of all those incomplete things doesn't stay abstract. It becomes personal. You start questioning your discipline, your ability to follow through, your identity. Maybe I'm just not the kind of person who finishes things. That's not true, but it feels true when you're standing in the middle of a mental junkyard. This is the quiet damage of modern attention. You're pulled in 100 directions and then blamed for not choosing one. The unfinished becomes familiar, comfortable, and finishing, putting your name on something, calling it done, starts to feel terrifying. The Zeigarnik Effect isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It evolved to help the brain track unfinished goals, to keep focus where action is still required. But in modern contexts, this mechanism creates friction. You're exposed to far more tasks, interruptions, and inputs than your attention system was designed to handle. The result is cognitive load, mental fatigue, and an increasing sense of fragmentation. There is no simple fix, but there is a structural response. Reduce the number of active loops. This doesn't mean completing everything. It means identifying what's relevant, choosing what gets attention, and disregarding the rest without guilt. Some tasks will remain open. That's inevitable. The difference is intentionality. Closing one meaningful loop, fully and without interruption, improves clarity and restores some degree of cognitive control. It reinforces execution over stimulation, completion over distraction, not because it feels good, but because it rebalances the system that attention depends on. The brain isn't wired for infinite potential. It needs a resolution.